Raise your hand if you've ever been busy. Raise your hand if you've ever got tired and feel like you just need a couple days off. Most people would have both hands up right now. That's our world, fast-paced and income-driven. That's why we get caught up in our own lives so often, and that's why it's understandable when most people don't focus on worries that aren't their own. So what makes someone become a humanitarian? Someone whose whole life focuses on the welfare of other humans.
When you go back and you see kids that were living on the streets, kids had no structure, they had no routine, people who had nothing, they didn't have meals. When you see that all of a sudden they're waking up, they have structure, they have something to do, they have a meal in their belly, their life changes completely. They, like I said, their self-esteem changes, their self-worth, their ability to know who they are in the world and what they have the potential of becoming, to give that hope, to give that dream, and then to watch people actually use that to do good for themselves and others it's amazing. It becomes an addiction.
And with Serena's help, we'll find the meaning of life to a humanitarian.
Good morning. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va bien. Ni hao. Hola. Bienvenue. Wan Ying. Bienvenido. Yokoso. And welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each and every week, I have the honor and privilege of taking you on a journey to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each and every week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. And because I know the power of stories, because I know how stories can transform you, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that somewhere along the line, somewhere in this journey that you and I will take together, you will hear a story that will move you. You will hear a story that makes you look at the world in a different way. Each and every week, my job is to create a sound that resonates deep inside of you, so you can begin to hear the music of your heart and in your mind. And then you can take that music and use it as a template, as a bridge, as an inception point to help you discover the value of your own stories, of the way you resonate with the world. This is going to be a different show today, because you and I have been on this journey for a while now, and I think you're ready for the next step. Yeah. I think you're ready to really get both sides of this journey that we've been on. See, if you're going to, if you have gotten to the point in watching the show, is that you begin to believe and understand that there is a connection between gemstones and people, gemstones and especially women. If you begin to understand and accept that, whether all of it or accept part of it, you have to understand the big picture. So what I need for you to do today, I don't even need you to take notes today. I need you to just to listen. I need you to feel it. First of all, gemstones, you have to understand that gemstones are minerals. Yeah, gemstones are minerals. So when we don't call them minerals because it's just not as romantic. Say, hey girl, I got a 5-carat mineral on my hand. That doesn't sound the same thing as a diamond or ruby, emerald. So gemstones are minerals. Second thing you need to understand is that there are over 4,000 different minerals on Earth. 4,000, over 4,000. Now, myself and gemologists like me, we have to study about, 250, 300. It grows every day. There's always something new. But on average, most people know about 100 gemstones. Those gemstones are common. And then you can add on about 50 gemstones that are rare, or 50 minerals that are rare. And the rest, let me back up. 100 that are common, 50 that are scarce, and the rest are rare. So imagine there's over 4,000 minerals on Earth. Only 100 of them are common, and all minerals or all gemstones are minerals, with a few exceptions: pearls, lapis, turquoise. Well, actually, turquoise is a mineral. Jade, or different types of minerals, but pearls, lapis are not minerals per se. What minerals are is something that it's an inorganic structure or substance that has an orderly construction. That's what a mineral is. So if you understand that let's take this slow, because I know there's people who have been around the whole time. Thank you so much for supporting this show. But there are new people all around the world who are saying, what is this whole thing about being a gem hunter? So what I want you to get is, one, that there's a connection between gemstones and people. Two, that most gemstones are minerals. There are over 4,000 minerals on Earth. And what I need you to understand is that minerals, if you're going to accept that, then you have to accept that minerals, there's good minerals and there's bad minerals. And the reason why I say that is, look at your bodies. Look at who you are as human beings. We run off of minerals. Vitamins, 8 essential nutrients, vitamins and iron. Those are minerals. Minerals in our bodies basically help our reactions, help the things that have to happen in our body take place. If you don't have vitamin C, if you don't have vitamin B, these are all minerals. You don't have niacin, which is a mineral. If you don't have those, iron, ladies, anybody who has been pregnant, ladies, you know that doctors will prescribe to you iron, because iron is something that actually hooks up to your red blood cells, to heme, to order to produce more oxygen. So the first reason why it's easy to make the connection between gemstones and people is because gemstones are minerals, and minerals are a part of who we are. So today, this month, we've been talking about 3, or at least 2 different minerals or gemstone. The first gemstone that we talked about for the month of December is turquoise. Turquoise is a mineral. Now, the thing about turquoise is that turquoise has no function, no industrial purpose other than jewelry and or ornamental type of objects. So that's what turquoise has been. And last week I told you that this is the original gemstone. This is the gemstone that mankind started out with turquoise. So the connection between turquoise and people, the main thing is color. Most people, and that's the problem, most people look at minerals. They identify minerals only by their color. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, what does that have to do with me? And more importantly, what this show is about is how relationships, you can literally learn a lot about relationships and yourself when looking at a gemstone. And some of you are like, okay, let me explain. As I said, that we look at gemstones or minerals, and that's an interchangeable thing. I want you to understand when I say gemstones, I'm actually talking about minerals. So when we look at a gemstone, the thing that we decide, the thing that intoxicates us to the gemstone itself, 9 times out of 10, it's the color. So when we look at turquoise, turquoise can come in blue, a bluish green, a yellowish color. This is what we prize ourselves when we look at turquoise. Now, let's look at an even more incredible gemstone. Let's look at tanzanite. This is tanzanite, which is the second gemstone in December. Tanzanite is basically calcium aluminum silicate. Again, I don't want you to take any notes. Tanzanite is a beautiful gemstone. Actually, it's a relatively new gemstone. Tanzanite was not discovered until July of 1967. Tanzanite came about because the stone before that, which was a very well-known stone, is called the cashmere sapphire. Cashmere sapphire is a spectacular sapphire. It's like a cornflower blue, and it was mined out. If you find a cashmere sapphire today, I haven't checked the numbers this week, but a cashmere sapphire probably runs about $70,000 to $80,000 per carat. Per carat. That's how rare it is. Tanzanite, which looks like this. This is tanzanite. Now, let me give you even a more common picture. This is tanzanite. Tanzanite comes, again, calcium aluminum silicate, comes from only one place on Earth. Only one place on Earth. And as we go through this show, what I want you to do is I want you to start making the analogies between gemstones and people. So, and especially in terms of relationships. So tanzanite comes from only one place on Earth, Tanzania. Now, when you think in terms of relationships, thinking about that woman, that man that you want, there's only really one of them that fits you. Those of us who have been through divorces and numerous relationships, and things, we understand that the one that we are looking for is as rare and as elusive as finding tanzanite. And if we find that person, this is what it looks like sometimes, oftentimes. We don't know when we look at it. When tanzanite was discovered in 1967, the reason why it was even became popular is because one of these stones was sitting out in the sun. See, in order for tanzanite to become this beautiful color, in order for this to happen, this stone has to be heated. It has to be heated to a temperature between 700 and 900 degrees. So when the Tanzanian gentleman who found tanzanite, he found it not in this form, he found it in a much more bluer form. Usually tanzanite comes in a just brownish, yellowish color. And the reason why he found it in a blue color is because it was hit by a bolt of lightning. The mound of rock where it was hit by a bolt of lightning. The heat from the lightning heat up the gemstone, heat up the rock that was there, and literally tanzanite, which was a part of that rock, was heated up and became the blue color. So tanzanite can only be found on one place on earth. That's the first thing you need to understand. Tanzanite has special qualities. Tanzanite, as I've told you before, tanzanite is called pleochromic. And we talked about this in early episodes, but I'll say it again for those of you new. Pleochromic is a special type of characteristic of a gemstone that allows the gemstone to have different colors depending on how you look at the gemstone, how that gemstone, whether you looked at that gemstone on a specific crystalline plane. Isn't that just like people? When we look at a person, when we decide on that person, when you are standing there and looking at this person, imagine, gentlemen, you walk into a room, you're sitting in a room, and here comes this woman wearing this beautiful blue violet dress or shoes. She's walking across the room. You find out that her name is tanzanite. Just the name of it lets you feel like, oh my God, that's her name. In fact, it's amazing to me that more women or more little girls are not called Tanzania or Tanza something, because there's just such a beautiful sound, at least to me, to that name. Tanzanite. Where tanzanite is found, it's found on a place on the earth. First, just really think about it. First of all, the only place on earth that tanzanite is found is in Africa, in Tanzania, in what's called a mid-Atlantic drift, meaning that tanzanite came about similar to emeralds by the collision of continents. The African continent and the Asian continent, when they ran into each other, or actually, this is a drift. So the continents drifted apart from each other. The African continent and the Asian continent drifted apart from each other. If you ever look at a map and you see Tanzania, and then you see the little island off, that's Madagascar, that comes from that separation of that continental drift. And so that's where tanzanite comes from. Tanzanite is literally found 40 miles from Mount Kilimanjaro. 40 miles from Mount Kilimanjaro. That's where tanzanite is found. That beautiful Tanzanite, Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain on Africa. It's a volcano. That's what happens when continents hit each other and drift apart. They create volcanoes. So that's where tanzanite is created. So when we are looking in a relationship, the problem is we want this. This is what we want. This is what we dream of. We were told that tanzanite is a gemstone that creates a linkage between the mind and the heart. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a relationship where that man, that woman is a linkage between your heart and their mind and your heart? Imagine being able to have a relationship like that where you are both vibrating on that level. And that's what happens in the beginning. We feel that. We see that woman, guys, we see that woman and name Tanzanite, and you just tell your boys, man, she is just incredible. When she walked into that room, I just felt this energy. I just said to myself, oh my God, ladies, it's that guy that walks in that you see at the grocery store, and you're impressed because he knows the difference of cantaloupe. You're impressed with him being a gentleman. You look at him, you just say, "Oh my God, he is just gorgeous." His hair, his clothes, his physique, his body, the way he speaks, all that just intoxicates you. He is Tanzanite, or so you think. Because you're judging those minerals, that mineral, you're judging it based on what? You're judging it based on its color. And know how I know that? Because how do you know if there's 4,000? What another thing you need to understand is if there's 4,000, over 4,000 different minerals, many of the minerals have similar colors. They have similar colors. So here's an example. This is sapphire. This is sapphire. Let's go back. This is tanzanite. This is sapphire. In fact, let's put it in a ring. You came into the store wanting a tanzanite. That's what you wanted. You wanted a tanzanite. The man at the store gives you this beautiful, according to him, a tanzanite and diamond and platinum ring. And you get all excited because you love the beauty of it. You see the beauty of this ring and say, "Oh, that's what I want." But how do you know? How do you know that is what you want? See, because tanzanite and sapphire, even though they look the same, they're not the same stone. Tanzanite has different colors of it can be a blue or amethyst or violet type of color. Tanzanite has a RI, meaning a refractive index, meaning the way the light goes into it, it measures out to something like 1.69 to 1.70. Don't worry about the numbers. This is what tanzanite is. Tanzanite has a hardness of 6.5, 6.5 to 7. And what thing about tanzanite that is an identifying factor is that tanzanite is pleochromic, meaning that tanzanite, when you look at it, changes into not just one, not two, but 3 different colors other than the color that you're looking at. Those are the specs. Those are the characteristics of tanzanite. But the only thing you saw was the color. You saw the outside. You saw that woman walking across the room. You saw that man sitting at the counter at the restaurant. You saw that and you became intoxicated. You made the decision that man, that woman is the one for you. Remember a few weeks back, I talked about the Jay Gatsby and how Jay Gatsby, that scene where he kissed Daisy. And before he kissed her, he looked up to God and said that he knew if he kissed her, that his mind would no longer be able to romp like the mind of God. That's what he felt when he looked at Daisy. That's what you felt when you looked at tanzanite, what you thought was tanzanite. But it's not. It's not. Because if you understand that there are over 4,000 different minerals, and if you understand that many gemstones, many of those minerals look the same way, that you can't necessarily tell the difference between a sapphire and a tanzanite. A sapphire and a tanzanite. You can't tell the difference just by looking at it. But yet, that's what people do. That's what people do in relationships all the time. So what I want you to get out of this show today is to understand that wherever you are in your life in terms of relationships, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You weren't trained. None of us were trained to understand the differences, the things that we should be looking at. We made our decisions based on what someone looked like. Think about it. Right now, look at your, hopefully I'm not causing any arguments or fights at home, but look at your partner, male or female, look at your partner and ask yourself, is that person the person that you thought he or she was when you first met them? One of the amazing things as a gemologist, one of the amazing things that I hear, which actually started my journey in regards to storytelling, is how people would tell me stories about how they met this person. They would tell me, oh, I met her there, I met him there. And this goes on in this whole story, and they're ready to buy this unbelievably beautiful and expensive diamond ring to show their love. But the thing that I began to not hear is the story. What do you know about that person? Isn't it amazing that we still, many of us are 40, 50, 60 years old, and when you think back, think about the people that you've been with in your life, and you sit there and say to yourself, how did I get with him? How did I get with her? And I say that not to make that person bad, not to make you bad. It's just that what you came into the relationship expecting was tanzanite. You wanted a stone you wanted to have someone in your life that was a linkage between your heart and your mind. You wanted someone who was going to basically give you a more enhanced spiritual connection. That's what tanzanite does. Tanzanite increases your spiritual connection. That's what you wanted. You wanted someone who was compassionate, someone who understood the power of self-expression, of understanding who you are as a person. That's what you went into that relationship thinking that you had. And as often the case, unfortunately, that's not what we get. That's not what we get. You know what this is? You know what this is? This is kryptonite. Yes, this is green kryptonite. Now, those of you, everybody should know this, but let me just go over for those of us those of our viewers who come from different parts of the world. Kryptonite was the mineral, the gemstone that basically affected Superman. Remember? Superman, faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Superman. Superman has been around for almost 80 years. As a child, I watched Superman all the time. I love just the way, and thank you for allowing me to say that. I was waiting my whole life to be able to say faster than a speeding bullet. Superman. And the only thing that would take out Superman, and you might as well add Superwoman, even though, it's a male thing. They call her Supergirl. I guess they didn't want to totally empower women. But Superman and Supergirl, the only thing that would take them down is kryptonite. Kryptonite is a gemstone. In fact, kryptonite actually is a real thing. They found kryptonite in Serbia, in this little town called Jada in Serbia, a few years back. Kryptonite has a chemical formula. Kryptonite is a sodium, lithium, boron, silicate hydroxide. That's what it is. In fact, if you watch the old Superman movie, Superman Returns, the one with Kevin Spacey in it as Lex Luthor, right on the box is the chemical formula of kryptonite. It's a mineral. And the thing that kryptonite does is kryptonite weakens you. It weakens you. And if you're around kryptonite for too long, it eventually will kill you. The reason why some of us are going through some of the things that we've gone through in our lives is because we thought that we were trying to find tanzanite, and what we actually found was kryptonite. What people don't understand is we know the green variety of kryptonite, but kryptonite comes in 9 different colors. There's blue kryptonite. There's black kryptonite. In fact, let me go through some of the things. Blue kryptonite basically causes, let's go back. Blue kryptonite causes pain, power loss, and eventual death. That's what blue kryptonite looks pretty. It's a beautiful gemstone, just like that guy you saw that you wound up marrying. Beautiful. Look at the colors. Look at the way it shines. That's blue kryptonite, pain, power loss, and eventual death. Then you have black kryptonite. Black kryptonite, and some of us are going through this, especially if you're going through divorce or that. Black kryptonite literally would take, you get black kryptonite by extreme heating. If you heat kryptonite to thousands of degrees, you get black kryptonite. Make the analogy. When you have gone, if you're in a relationship and you've gone through all these things in your life over and over and over and over and over and over again with your partner, basically that partner has created black kryptonite. That partner has become, but is black kryptonite. And what black kryptonite does, it separates you. It separates you. You become, there's a good side of you and an evil side of you. Now, and before someone say, well, kryptonite is not real. First of all, kryptonite is real. But the stories that I'm telling you is very similar to the things that happen in real life. What people don't understand is comic books are stories. They're ancients. They're some of the first stories. And what all comic books are is exaggerations of what is true. There are people going through right now in their life the effects of being with someone who for them is black kryptonite. And the reason why you didn't see that is because when you looked at that gemstone, you thought it was an onyx. You thought it was an onyx. You thought it was black coral, and that's what you like. So you picked that, and it wound up actually being, for you, black kryptonite. Then there's gold kryptonite. And actually, this is the most rarest of all the kryptonites. Kryptonite, when Superman is around kryptonite, it literally strips him or her, Supergirl, of all their power. That's what it does. How many of us have been in a relationship where that person felt like they were stripping away all their power, all your power? And just like the old cartoons that I watched as a kid, we're going to stop here and go to our commercial break, and we'll come back with the adventures of kryptonite. we are back. We were talking about kryptonite. We were talking about those who just came on. Welcome. What I'm trying to do here is show you that how gemstones can be understanding gemstones can be a way for you to begin to understand not only the relationships that you've been in, the people that you've picked, but also the reason why you related to them. Because what you have to understand, the common underlying theme to all this is not only discovering the value of their story, discovering who they are, you have to discover your own value. Because like I said with gold kryptonite before our commercial break, gold kryptonite literally is the most rarest of all kryptonites. Gold kryptonite just literally floats around the universe. And you say to yourself, oh, that's just cartoons. But gold, actual gold, comes from where? It comes from space. So there's an element of truth. So if you are in a relationship where you feel like that person is stripping away your power, maybe you can't jump tall buildings in a single bound. Maybe you're not faster than a speeding bullet. Maybe you're not more powerful than a locomotive, but you are powerful within yourself, and you just happen to make the mistake of getting with someone who for you is gold kryptonite. That's not what you wanted. You wanted a canary yellow diamond. That's what you thought you had when you married this guy. You thought, oh, girl, he is just the one. Think about it. And I want you to understand that this is not coming from someone who went to the Gemological Institute of America or Gemological Association of Great Britain. This is coming from someone who's been married 3 times. 2 times officially, 1 time a long-term relationship. This is coming from someone who has been, God knows how many different relationships. And the things that I'm teaching you today, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I had no idea. When I married my second wife had green eyes. I thought her eyes were green because she was an emerald. No, it was really, for me, she was green kryptonite. Now, for someone else, she might have been an emerald, but for me, the relationship that I had because of who I am, that's how her energy came to me. That's how I saw it. Because green kryptonite not only kills Superman, but it also kills humans. You just have to be around it long enough for it to have those effects. Let's go to red kryptonite. Red kryptonite is even worse than green kryptonite. Red kryptonite just basically, as I put it on my Facebook, red kryptonite debilitates you mentally and physically. You start hallucinating. Some of you are saying right now who are going through divorce or going through bad relationships saying, man, I mean, yeah, that sounds right. You start sleepwalking. You weight gain or weight loss. That's what red kryptonite does. If you are with someone who shows you those signs, then it's not about there's something wrong with them. It's just that who they are, their story, their molecular structure doesn't work with yours. See, gemstones can take you to understand the universe on a molecular level. Because if it happens in gemstones, if a tanzanite is pleochronic, again, pleochronic means that I see this beautiful color, but if I look at it in a certain way, there are different colors. For tanzanite, it's blue, it's green, it's yellow. Those are the different colors that I see when I look through a microscope and see the different planes of color. That's not what we did when we got with that person. Think about it. How many people have you been with in your life where when you think back, they showed you who they were? And again, I don't even want to sound like I'm the wizened person and I knew all this. No, 3 marriages. I wish I knew this. I wish I began to understand not only who she was, but also who I was, who I am. The same way we look for qualities and characteristics of gemstones is the same way we have to begin to look at the qualities and characteristics of the people that are in our lives. What is their story? Who are they? Then you have then you have white kryptonite. White kryptonite. White kryptonite looks like sugar cubes. And those of you who are asking, how can I remake this? All of the over 4,000 gemstones or minerals, all you have to do is know the molecular structure. If you know the molecular structure of a mineral, you can recreate it in a lab. You can recreate the basic structure of that gemstone. So this is white kryptonite. What white kryptonite does, it kills all plant life. It allows it literally destroys the chlorophyll of plants, so therefore plants can no longer live. Now, how do you make that analogy to you? Remember your 7th grade science? How do plants grow? Plants grow because of the relationship that they have with the light, the sun. The sun creates the food. There's a chemical process that creates the food that's inside the plant, and the plant grows. If you have someone in your life that is like white kryptonite, then that person is not going to allow you to grow as a person. All gemstones do is show you that the things that you have been experiencing, you haven't been hallucinating about it. It's not something that you've made up. This is what happens on a molecular level. Those of you who have been ill, those of you who have had health challenges, what does the doctor give you? The doctor gives you medicine, minerals, chemicals that's going to work in your body to change, to alter the illness. Where do you think those minerals and chemicals come from? They come from gemstones. They come from the over 4,000 minerals that's out there. When we say gemstones, we're just putting a fancy name to what's commonly known as a mineral. So if you have a mineral that has a specific structure, like kryptonite. In fact, the kryptonite that they found wasn't green. It wasn't green because the one thing that was missing, I think it was missing fluorine, which would give it that green color. So because it didn't have that, only thing it had was the sodium, lithium, boron, silicate, hydroxide. I don't know how I remember this stuff, but that's what kryptonite is. And so without that fluorine, you get white kryptonite. So the white kryptonite that they found, that they actually discovered, kills all plant life. Yeah. It doesn't allow things to grow. I hope this is making sense to you. Because in science, in the universe, there are certain ways things work. Who you are as a person works in a specific way with someone else, with the way you interact with the light and the way they interact with the light. There's even orange. There's actually orange and periwinkle. Periwinkle kryptonite. Orange kryptonite, from what I read, that orange kryptonite literally empowers not Superman, but empowers animals. So if you're an animal lover and you get a hold of orange kryptonite will basically make your dog and cat have superpowers. Now remember, what did we come here for? What we were looking for was tanzanite. We were looking for tanzanite. We were looking for calcium aluminum silicate, and we judged it by the fact that it was blue. And instead of getting that, we got blue kryptonite. I just want to give people a different way of thinking about the relationships that they've been in. Because ultimately, all I've told you with all the, whether it be tanzanite, whether it be turquoise, whether it be all the different types of kryptonites, what I told you was a story. Many of you did not know that kryptonite came in more than one color. Many of you did not know that there's gemstones that come in more than one color. Many of you who love tanzanite did not know the term pleochromic, or that tanzanite can look different depending on the direction that you look at it. So how does that relate to you? When you meet that person, you're meeting that person in a certain light. Whether you met them at the club or conference or at the supermarket, you met them in a certain light. And if you don't take the time to find out the other characteristics of that person, there's a possibility that you're going to get something that you did not want. You're going to be with someone that is not right for you, and because of the molecular structure of that person, because of who that person is, because again, remember I talked about how does gemstones get their colors? It's something that's put in it. Tanzanite is that beautiful color because it has an element called vanadium. Canada, vanadium. Vanadium basically is an element that when you put it to the chemical structure of calcium aluminum silicate, it becomes this color. And that's what's activated when you heat it. When you heat tanzanite, tanzanite goes from this to this. When you heat tanzanite, that's what happens. It doesn't happen automatically. So if you are with a person that brings that love in your life, that brings your passion in your life, you could have been feeling like this when you met that person, but because of that love, because of that passion, because of the understanding, the empowerment that they gave you, now you going from this to this. If it happens in gemstones, if it happens with molecular structure that have 2 or 3 elements in it, it has to mean the same thing for you. That's how science works. It's not that carbon works a certain way for everything else in the universe and works differently for you. No. And of course, I'm simplifying it because we're human. We do not have an organized molecular structure, so that's the trick. The trick is you have to begin to understand first, what is your story? What type of gemstone are you? What type of things have you experienced in your life? Whether it be your education, whether it be your experiences, whether it be your childhood, whether it be your brothers and sisters that you grew up, whether it be the environment that you came up with. All those conditions are the things that was put into you to create the gemstone that you are. The person that you are. Discover the value of your own story. And I'm going to keep saying that again and again and again and again until until it begins to resonate. Because there's a power in that. There's a power in understanding that, yes, there is such a thing out there called green kryptonite. You might call him Charles. Her name might be Mary. But there is such a thing in the universe called green kryptonite, and that mineral, that gemstone, that person will kill you, either mentally or spiritually or physically, if you're not careful. If you don't understand what you look for or looking at. A sapphire. A sapphire does a completely different thing than what tanzanite does. But if you came in looking for a tanzanite and you wound up getting a sapphire, then that's a completely different stone. And years later, when you're in the divorce court or your relationship is changing, you're sitting there saying to yourself, how did that happen? Well, it happened because you didn't understand who that person really was. You didn't take the time to figure it out. And that doesn't happen in gemology. When I'm looking at a sapphire has an RI of a reflective index is 1.76 to 1.77. If it's anything other than that, it's not a sapphire. Tanzanite has a RI, a refractive index of 1.69 to 1.70. If it's anything else than that, it's not a tanzanite. So what I want you to get out of today is stop making yourself feel guilty for the mistakes you've made. You've made them, it happened, it's terrible, I understand. But begin to understand why you made those mistakes. Who was the person that you picked to spend the rest of your life with? Is that person tanzanite? Or is that person kryptonite? That's the thing. So again, my name is Barry Mixon. I am a gemological storyteller. And what I want you to do this week and every week is to take some time for yourself. Listen to your stories and begin to understand and discover the value of your own stories. Au revoir, atatella, meaning I'll see you later. Bye-bye.